Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really thought-provoking idea.
We are. It's this possibility that, our thoughts might actually have a real impact on the world around us.
Exactly. And our way into this, our source, is Krzysztof Jackowski.
Right, the well-known Polish faker. He talks about this stuff on his YouTube channel, Jasno Widzi Krzysztof Jackowski Official.
And we've been looking at a recent video of his,
Yeah, where he really digs into what he calls sprawszczmyśli,
which translates roughly to...
the causative power of thought. The power of thought to make things happen, essentially.
Okay.
And you might notice, by the way, this sounds a bit different in his recording this time. He mentioned some logistical issues with his usual setup.
Right. Good to note.
Yeah.
So our mission for you today is really to get into Jackowski's ideas about this sprawszczmyśli.
Yeah, we want to look in the examples he gives, think about what they might imply for us.
But, keep a thoughtful perspective. We're not here to confirm his claims, just explore them. Okay, so let's dive in. This idea of an impulse of thought.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things he brings up is losing things. We've all done that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He says people call him, after days of searching their house for something.
Right, they're desperate.
But then, and this is the interesting part, he says quite often, maybe just after they book an appointment with him.
They call back.
Yeah. They call back saying, found it. Like suddenly they look in a place they already checked or just get a flash of insight.
And there it is. This idea of a mental impulse, maybe, or a shift in focus.
How so?
Well, Jackowski kind of suggests that the act of deciding to get help, focusing that mental energy outwards, it might trigger something internally.
Like the stress of searching drops once you've decided on a course of action.
Maybe, yeah. And that somehow lets the answer surface. It's a bit like the observer effect idea, but applied differently. Like our intention changes something. Or like when you can't remember a name, you stop trying so hard and then bam, it pops into your head. Exactly that kind of thing. And he also links it to, thinking of someone you haven't heard from.
And then they call or text. Yeah, that happens. It's uncanny sometimes.
Right. So these common experiences, Jackowski sees them as examples of these mental impulses. He thinks maybe we don't fully appreciate their potential.
So is he talking actual psychic force here or more psychology?
Well, his framework leans more intuitive, maybe even metaphysical, but you could look at it psychologically too.
Oh.
Like shifting focus, releasing mental tension allows breakthroughs. Or maybe thinking of someone just makes us notice more when they do contact us. It feels significant.
Okay, right. Priming our awareness.
Yeah. But for Jackowski, it points to something more fundamental about thought having this causative power.
Okay. Now, he gets into a more serious side of this too, the potential downside.
Yeah.
Negative thoughts.
Yes, he seems genuinely concerned about this, particularly constant worry, especially about health.
So if we stick with the impulse idea.
His theory, it seems, is that persistent negative thinking, like always worrying you'll get sick, creates a kind of ongoing negative impulse. And he suggests this worry, this fear, might actually influence the body in a negative way, almost like the mind and body start aligning with that fear.
Wow. So potentially even contributing to the illness itself.
That seems to be the implication he's drawing. He uses the term negative energy, which isn't scientific, but you can sort of grasp what he means, right? The heavy feeling, the psychological toll of constant negativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And he mentioned that Polish saying,
Krakas, krakas, I łyk kraka.
that's the one. He croaked, and it came true. The idea that dwelling on the negative makes it happen, it's deep in folk wisdom, isn't it?
It really is. That belief in the power of words, of thoughts. It raises big questions about the mind-body connection, which science is still exploring, of course.
But Jackowski's tapping into that intuition.
Exactly.
But then, flip side, he talks about positive thinking. Optimism.
Right. Contrasting the worrywarts with optimists, who he feels often fare better.
Because their positive thoughts attract positive outcomes. Is that the idea?
Sort of, yeah. It aligns with the general idea that a positive mindset affects our actions, resilience, how people respond to us.
Which can lead to better experiences overall.
Precisely. And Jackowski suggests being positive is good even if there's no obvious reason to be positive right now.
Like the positive thoughts themselves create a different kind of impulse.
That seems to be it. An impulse that might open doors, foster better interactions.
Interesting. Okay, then he moves on to specific negative emotions. Envy and hatred.
He sees these as really strong negative energies.
And his take on where that energy goes is, Well, that's pretty unique.
It is. He argues it doesn't really harm the target directly, even if the person feeling it thinks it does or rationalizes it.
So where does it go?
He says it comes back, returns to sender.
Right. So if I'm intensely envious of someone's success.
According to Jackowski, you are the one primarily feeling the negative effects. Your own well-being suffers because you're generating and holding that negativity.
Not the person I'm envious of.
He seems to think positive energy is more easily received, but strong negativity is kind of rejected. It's too potent, too alien, so it rebounds to its source.
Okay. That's a powerful idea.
It connects to his next point about the saying, misfortunes come in pairs.
Ah, Nietzsche chozo parami. Yeah, why does that seem to happen?
His explanation is about our reaction. If we experience one misfortune and just dwell on it, get really worried, sad, negative.
We create a negative atmosphere around ourselves.
That's the idea. And that negativity then acts like a magnet, attracting more bad stuff, creating a cycle.
So it's not fate dealing double blows, but maybe our response to the first blow sets us up for the second.
Kind of, yeah. The intense negative emotional response, the rumination, makes us more vulnerable.
So processing difficulties without getting overwhelmed by that negative energy is key.
That's what he stresses, which leads him to talk about rebuilding our thinking.
Right. He admits human nature is complex. We can't just flick a switch and be positive.
No, but he believes we can consciously work on our thought patterns.
And he used that example of jealousy towards friends' successes.
Saying, look, it might feel natural, but ultimately that jealousy harms you. It's that negative energy again, messing with your own peace.
And releasing it, choosing maybe to feel happy for them instead.
Breaks the cycle, stops that harmful energy coming back to you. It's about taking ownership of our reactions, basically.
Okay. That covers the power of thought stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
But then the video takes a turn, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Quite a significant shift towards the end into Polish politics.
And just to be super clear here, we're just reporting what Jackowski said in the video. No endorsement, no judgment on our part.
Absolutely crucial. Neutral reporting here. So he set some context first.
Right. He mentioned something about an American general.
Yeah, a statement reportedly made about potential Polish troops going to Ukraine, which Polish politicians then denied.
Oh, okay.
And Jackowski notes this is all happening before elections, and he brings up the general's claim that secret talks were happening.
So against that backdrop, what were his political intuitions?
Well, he felt the election results might bring some surprises, maybe showing public dissatisfaction with the current leaders.
Interesting. Anything more specific?
He sensed a potentially negative period for Tusk after the elections. Things like maybe a drop in international standing.
Right.
And attempts to destabilize the coalition.
Stabilize how?
He specifically mentioned the possibility of another party being tempted or offered a way out of the coalition.
And he saw a bigger upheaval coming.
Yeah, he mentioned Braun, suggesting Braun might build a significant new political force, something that could seriously challenge the existing big parties down the line.
A major shakeup then.
And he used the word pryzrut, like an overturn or significant shift aimed at Tusk, but perhaps after the presidential elections.
Okay. And one last thing, something about how Poland might be viewed.
Yes, just an intuition he shared, that Poland might face negativity from other countries, maybe be labeled negatively, even using the word fascist.
Right. Again, important to stress, these are Jackowski's intuitive political forecasts from the video. We're just relaying them.
Exactly. It's just fascinating to see him apply his particular approach to this totally different field.
It really is. Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive.
We've covered quite a bit. Krzysztof Jackowski's perspective on the power and interconnection of thoughts and emotions, that sprawcze myśli.
And then that unexpected detour into his political predictions based on his specific way of seeing things.
Yeah. So for you listening in, wanting to get knowledge quickly but also thoroughly, hopefully this gave you a concentrated look at these ideas.
Maybe some new ways to think about that link between our inner world, our thoughts, and what happens externally, which brings us to that final thought for you to ponder. Given Jackowski's focus on the sprawcze myśli, how might, just thinking about this concept, even if you don't fully buy into it, but just using it as a framework, how might that change the way you approach your own thoughts and feelings day to day?
And what ripple effects could that create in your own life?
Exactly. Something to mull over.